going to check in now with Mark Matthews, head of Asian research at Bank Julius Baer. He joins us from Singapore this morning. And Mark, would you say it's a little too early to say that markets have made the turn around the corner?
Susan, I don't know is the answer. Maybe they did, but I think it depends on policy in Europe, as I'm sure your viewers are nauseated at hearing by now. But as you know, it's just every day we wake up and it's a different story. So happens yesterday there were some stories that there are disagreements between France and Germany over the scope of the EFSF, and I can't remember what else was in the news that caused it to go down, but you know what I mean. It's a ping pong ball. So
yes, I do know what you mean. It's very volatile right now on the markets, Mark. So what do you know about what's happening right now?
Well, what I think I know is that the surprising thing in all of this is the data in the United States. Everything from auto sales to retail sales to the purchasing managers' indices have all been ticking up very nicely. So I think if there is a positive surprise in the past 2 weeks, it is the data out of the United States. I also think that there are signs of what do I want to call it, loosening. Brazil cut rates for the second time overnight, and Indonesia has done the same recently, so you're starting to see emerging markets loosening. China, I don't know what to call what they're doing in China, but some very mild change in tact, I think, by providing financial support to the Ministry of Railways and small and medium-sized enterprises. I wouldn't get too excited about that. So anyway, those are the good things, and then you know, of course, Europe is still, I would say, the big elephant in the room. Is that the correct expression? And so that one is a really tough one. I think it all comes down, Susan, to a very simple question: is Europe a democracy or not? If it is a democracy, the markets will go down because taxpayers will not pay for the problem. Yeah. And
I think at last check it was a democracy, though, Mark. So what are you saying? Hang on tight right now and don't be brave to go into the markets just yet?
I wish I was a braver person, because I think there are some really interesting looking stocks. I mean, there are many stocks here in Asia which are down 40–50%, and not just Asia. I mean, gosh, I think General Electric and ABB and some really quality big caps are down by about that much in the U.S. and Europe. But I'm not brave enough personally. I want to see what happens, so I'm neutral right now. I'm not underweight anymore. I'm neutral.
You're very neutral. Sounds like you're from Canada or something. Mark,
yeah.
So yeah. So what happens this weekend? I mean, all eyes on the EU summit, right? Are they going to come to some compromise? You have 17 nations that have to get the check on what's going to happen with the EFSF. It seems like the markets, are setting themselves up for disappointment, aren't they?
Yeah, gee, I mean, once again, I wish I could say I knew the answer, but I don't. It kind of reminds me of that big budget impasse during the summer in the United States. And remember, we all thought there was going to be a big rally because we thought, oh, they won't actually allow the country to go into default. And we know that, even though it's coming down right to the wire, they'll pass this thing. And they did pass it, but then the markets tanked. And maybe actually that's the wrong analogy, because I think that was more to do with Europe at that time. But anyway, I mean, I don't know if they do successfully, if they do come up with something, what the market's response will be to it. I mean, right now they're trying to water down expectations. I have to think that they'll come up with something decent.
Something decent. Okay, we'll take a look at what that is. Before you go, Mark, you say you're neutral right now. Is there something that you're more, say, bullish on than others?
Well, there are, there's certain stocks and bonds. I think the last time I spoke with you, Susan, which was already a few months ago, I told you I like McDonald's, and McDonald's announces their results tomorrow, and I still really like McDonald's. I think if you can take a longer-term view, General Electric looks wonderful here. And I also think that there's some super bonds in Asia. For example, Abu Dhabi Electric, how safe can you get, yielding about 7%. Zijin Mining, backed up by Bank of China, similar kind of yield. Indosat in Indonesia, backed by Qatar Telecom, similar kind of yield. So for a longer-term investor, there's wonderful things to buy.
Okay, Mark. Well, thank you for your time today. We'll see what happens over the weekend. Mark Matthews of Bank Julius Baer.